Here's the truth about the new Xbox consoles. What is up, y'all, and welcome back to Xbox Ready, the YouTube channel that is all about Xbox, and we are bringing my boy back, Mr. Jimmy Champagne, to discuss Xbox's upcoming hardware and what you can really expect from it as a fan, because there's a lot of confusion about these devices and the marketing and just all sorts of stuff. So here to help us sift through all of that and find the truth about what these devices can offer is, once again, Mr. Jimmy Champagne. No G. Do not spell his name with a G.
Hello.
So, Jim, this is something that we've talked about a few times on the channel, and I love having you on to discuss these things because while I do have handheld gaming PC, the ROG Ally, you are the definitive handheld gaming expert in my life.
That's right.
Yeah. You know everything, but I'm gonna make a request at the top of this video. I'm gonna make a request. All right, we're gonna proceed at least for like the first couple, maybe third of this video as if the Steam Deck doesn't exist. Do you think we can do that?
Yeah, but because everything coming out of Gamescom about this Xbox ROG Ally actually sounds cool.
Seeing all this stuff about coming from Gamescom, it seems that people are walking away with their experience demoing the Xbox Ally and the Xbox Ally X. Seems like they're walking away like, oh, like this is pretty cool, which is surprising because a lot of the discourse online has been like, why? Why is this being made? Why is it so expensive?
I get the why is it expensive, but I don't get the why is it being made? Like, isn't this what everyone's kind of wanted since the first Xbox?
That's what they're saying on the marketing side. Like, this is the #1 requested thing, like a way to play Xbox games natively on the go or whatever. I think that's the problem because what we know about these devices is, I went hands-on with it for a little bit back in June. People are getting to demo it at Gamescom. But most of what we know about these things comes from Xbox marketing themselves. And it's a lot of corporate speak. So let's kind of sift through this and see what is hype and corporate speak versus what we can actually expect. So the big thing about these devices is, the hardware, it looks cool and all, but they're making a big deal out of the Xbox full screen experience. And they debuted the new handheld mode. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
It's mostly positive, I would say. It looked like it was running pretty well, but it's clear that they kind of fudged it a little bit, making it seem like it's two separate modes. It's really the Xbox app running in full screen mode with some services turned off. So if you go to desktop mode, it's instant and it spins up what was killed for the Xbox full screen app to run. But then if you want to switch back, you have to restart the entire thing, which you have to do that on the Steam Deck. So that's not anything crazy. But it looked like it was pretty fluid, and I liked that, it was operatable by a controller. And I saw a clip, a quick clip on Twitter of pulling up the dashboard while a game was running, and all of that worked. So it's cool that they're doing this. I just hope it doesn't take a long time for it to actually come to Windows and not, be exclusive to the third iteration of this handheld. Because it would be sweet if you could update your ROG Ally day one and just get the same benefits, right?
When I got to preview it, the task switcher of I'm switching to Discord, I'm switching to the game, I'm switching, that seemed pretty fluid. And they kind of touched on it in this new video, but a lot of the focus was okay, let's reiterate what the targets are in terms of resolution and the frame rate. And then, let's show off handheld, it's basically the equivalent of Steam Deck verified.
Yeah, Asus ROG compatible. I think I talked about it last week. But I guess the games are going to launch with the correct settings if it is verified or compatible or whatever, which is interesting. That's cool. I wish Steam Deck would do that because the Steam Deck verified system is garbo, stupid. But this Xbox one is really cool, and they already kind of have it.
I touched on that in my video last week about it, and anyone who's familiar with the Xbox PC app, that's basically what they're showing off in this little video here. But it was helpful because they kind of put an expectation to the language, right? I think it said this game should run well if it targets 30 FPS, and then it'll say this game will run great on this device if it's 60. And if they don't have any information about it, they'll say we don't know. It's one of the more intuitive and cool aspects about the PC the Xbox app that they're bringing over to handhelds, which is going to be super helpful because obviously you're not working with as much power as you would be on a desktop or a console. So setting that expectation right away before you download a game, that's great.
I was looking at an article about the MSI Claw that has the same chip as this, the X, the Z2 Extreme. And I was reading that it's not that big of an upgrade in practice over the Z1 Extreme. So if you want to get in on this ecosystem, I don't think it would be that big of a deal if you bought an ROG Ally Z1 Extreme or ROG Ally X open box and then just kind of hung on to it until they release the full screen mode update and then install it that way, because you're going to save like hundreds of dollars if you do it that way. And Best Buy has a ton of open box ones every time I'm in there. I don't know, because the specs aren't really out there, but there was another device running the same chip that someone got hands on with, and they walked away pretty disappointed. But they were coming at it from the standpoint of they already have a Z1 Extreme device. And they're like, it doesn't feel like that big of an upgrade. Like maybe 1 or 2 frames difference, maximum 5 frames difference per second. So that depends on how the manufacturer is running it. Like they could be using a different TDP. I doubt it, but it doesn't seem like it's really a next generation version of the Z1 Extreme, which makes sense because the Z2 Go came out last year and it was pretty underpowered compared even to the regular Z1. Like it's a little bit better than the regular Z1, not as good as the Z1 Extreme.
But there's been a lot of talk about like the AI capabilities of this new chip. They're like not really there yet, but they mentioned it in the preview back in June. They're talking about it a little bit now, like these AI upscaling features or like using AI to supercharge their performance. And I think one of those, because in the talking points that they're kind of sending out to people, they say there's new AI powered features starting early next year specifically for the Xbox Ally X. The Xbox Ally, the base model, does not have the capability to utilize these AI features. And one of them is being automatic super resolution, a system level feature that uses the power of the NPU to upscale games running at lower resolutions, delivering high resolution visuals and smooth frame rates across a wide range of games with no additional changes required from game developers. Is that something that we'll be able to rely on consistently?
It's kind of tricky because they already sort of have this. It's not called AI upscaling, but it's called like RIS, Radeon Image Scaling. It works good on the Ally and the Legion Go, where like if you run a game at 720p, it'll use its like little built-in RIS to upscale it to 1080p, which is the screen's resolution. And it works fine, but FSR is just not very good, which is the problem. Like FSR 4 is supposed to be really good, and like the PS5 Pro is getting that as an upgrade next year, but we don't know because so few games have supported it up until this point, and they've kind of messed around with like if you have a newer AMD GPU, you can inject FSR 4. It's not as good as what's in like the Switch 2 with DLSS, but like we'll just have to wait and see. And the performance gains with FSR aren't amazing. So, like it's a wait and see type thing. They're just throwing AI on it, but it's already in the one you have. It'll just be like a next gen version of that same software.
We also talked about this other feature that they are teasing, the advanced shader delivery, which I think is going to be, that's going to be important, especially like in these next gen pre-built Xbox PCs. Advanced shader delivery, a new feature that preloads game shaders during download. So select games launch up to 10 times faster, run smoother, and use less battery on first play.
Yeah, so all those bullet points are fine, but the real reason you want the shader download is because of stuttering. So that's the biggest issue with Windows, is that when you boot up a game and you see that menu that's like, oh, compiling shaders, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't compile all the shaders. So like the first time something happens in a game, you'll see a 1-second stutter while that shader is cached. And then every time that animation happens after that, you won't see a stutter. So like your options are play through the game twice to get a clean experience, or have a situation like this, because this is what the Steam Deck has. It's easy to do if you have a lot of people playing on one piece of hardware, because someone before you might have gotten farther than you. So like the first person's always going to see stuttering, but after that, and once it can download shaders, then you won't see stuttering after that point. So you basically have to rely on someone beating the game once before you to cache the shaders in the cloud, and then it'll download them. It works great on the Steam Deck. It does take up a lot of storage space, so people get pissed about that, but it's worth having because it eliminates stuttering. I want this on regular Windows PCs because the stuttering situation on Windows is like so out of whack. It's insane. And it has been for probably like 6 or 7 years now, and they've refused to address it at all. So it's nice to see them, looking at what works on the Steam Deck and saying, oh, we should just like figure out how to make that work on Windows. So like if a lot of people buy the ROG Ally Xbox version, whatever, it's going to be good. But if a lot of people don't buy it, it's not going to matter because you need someone to you need a big enough pool of people playing one game and beating it for that effect to really work. Unless they cache them themselves, like before the game comes out, which they might do. So like this is already a feature on Steam, and you can do it with Windows on Steam. But so if like someone has the exact same computer as you and plays through a game, and then you come by like a year later and download that game, it'll download their shaders that were uploaded to the cloud. But like with so many different combinations, like how often does that happen, So having one piece of hardware that gets a big user base, that's what you really want for something like this.
Have you seen a new Asus controller? Little did people know, all the focus has been on these handheld gaming devices, that they also released a new Xbox controller too. The Right Cutie 2 Xbox wireless controller. Yeah, the peripheral accessories, they're starting to shape up and present like a pretty strong lineup for this Asus Xbox partnership.
Yeah, I like watching the Xbox crowd kind of catch up to this ecosystem because like you are aware of it because we've talked about the ROG Ally since it came out. But a lot of these Xbox people aren't even aware of it. So I'm waiting for them to realize you'll be able to plug in an eGPU because Asus also has a whole line of like ROG specific eGPUs. There's a special port on every ROG Ally, and I used the 4090 one for a while, and it uses the Z1 Extreme or Z2 Extreme in this case as the processor, and then has an external GPU, and that has an HDMI port, and you plug it into the wall. So you can basically use it as a dock that will give you extra power. They'll let you run it as a desktop, which is kind of cool. And you can use the screen on the ROG Ally as a second monitor.
I'm surprised that they haven't hit on that more. Like, not only is this a handheld, but paired with this other cool thing that we put out, it could also be like some, your gaming desktop, almost serve multiple needs.
They sell out so fast. Like, they don't make a lot of them. So I feel like the 4090 one was, I think like it was close to $2,000, or it might have been $1,000. It was the cost of a desktop 4090, but it's a laptop 4090 rehoused. It's not like a full desktop card, but I was able to get like 1440p max settings, 120 FPS in Diablo, right? So like that's the level you're playing at. So like if you pair the high-end GPU with the Z2 Extreme as the CPU, you'll get throttled a little bit because the CPU's, inside of a handheld and it doesn't have like liquid cooling or whatever. Like it's never going to be on par with a desktop, but you should get better performance than you're getting out of a Series X with it. It just depends what GPU you pair it up with. Like there is a little bottleneck, but it's not amazingly bad.
And Jim, let's move off of the hardware for a sec and move on over to something that you have been waiting for. I think your exact words back in June for the showcase were, if they don't show Forza Horizon 6, I'm ending it all. So you have to be pretty happy because word on the street is that Forza Horizon 6 leaks have basically confirmed what people have been believing. It's going to be set in Japan. And not only that, they're saying that it's going to be revealed at Tokyo Game Show later this year.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I think we did predict this back in one of your videos.
Yeah. Because we predict a lot of stuff on. It's just another day.
The rumor back then was that it was either going to be in Germany or Japan. And for me, either of those options were good. I was like, just get it out, get it done. Like we need a new Forza Horizon. So yeah, Windows Central reported that they've seen documentation. So I would call this like 80% confirmed?
Japan is hot right now. I don't know how else to put that. Like, obviously, Ghost of Yotei coming up, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Shinobi, anime. Everyone's obsessed with anime now. So how do you think they're going to handle it? Because obviously Forza Horizon 5 set in Mexico. There's a lot of like open land between these different cities and tracks.
That's the worst Forza Horizon map by a lot.
What do you think they're going to change from FH5 to this one?
I think it's going to get a pretty big handling upgrade based on what they put into Forza Motorsport, because they pull cars and handling from that. So that'll be cool because Forza Motorsport was pretty realistic. Hope probably a graphics upgrade. I just hope that it gets a formula shakeup, because, you know, like Forza Horizon 5 was the big one that really popped off, but it's like the third version of the same game. Like they basically stopped innovating after Forza Horizon 3 and then would just change the map. So like people who play Forza Horizon are kind of sick of that formula where like they throw money at you, they throw cars at you, there's no progression. They kind of like took modes out with each successive game. So people kind of want to reset where they, you know, come up with some new multiplayer modes and just stop like kicking back and just like leaving well enough.
I'm gonna throw in one more thing, because I think it's obvious at this point, especially after Forza Horizon 5 came out on PlayStation, sold pretty damn well, that I think it's pretty much a lock that Forza Horizon 6 is going to be same day release on PlayStation consoles. Because at this point, I'm operating under the assumption that, you know, Fable would have already released, maybe Gears of War E-Day. They're supposed to all be coming next year. And you know, with the Reloaded coming out on PlayStation consoles, I think we can just assume that it's going to be on PlayStation consoles the same day that it's going to be out on Xbox.
I agree. And I don't necessarily think Gran Turismo should be on Xbox, because like they're never going to put it on Game Pass. So like what audience are you going to get? But Gran Turismo not being on PC is such a miss by Sony. It's kind of insane. Like that should have been the first port from Sony. No one's buying a PS5 and like ride or dying for Gran Turismo. Like it has a huge audience, but there is a bigger sim racing audience on PC, and the compatibility between wheels is like very locked down. So they're just missing out on that audience. So like Xbox should totally capitalize on that and just put Forza Horizon on everything.
Anyways, guys, that's all the Xbox stuff me and Jimmy Champagne have to talk about today. Thanks again for joining us for another edition of Xbox Ready. If you made it this far into the video, consider subscribing. Consider checking out Jimmy's channels, Real Ones, Deck Ready, PS Ready, if you feel so inclined. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.